Hey readers, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing and going over my August reads. I am so excited to share with you guys what I've read, what I think about it, is it worth the read, and let's sum it all up. So the first book we're going to talk about is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This book was remarkably incredible. I loved it. It gave me a little bit of Hunger Games, a little bit of Fourth Wing. It gave me a little bit of survival. The FMC had to survive through a lot of trials. She is a human FMC who was raised by a vampire king, and well, she has to go through a series of trials to prove herself with other vampires, and it is giving Hunger Games. I definitely recommend this book. I enjoyed it. I, however, started reading the second book in the series because this is a long series, and I don't know if I'm gonna DNF the second book. The second book is called The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, but I don't know, guys. I don't know if I should push through the second book. I feel like I'm getting annoyed with the FMC in the second book. I wanted her revenge arc really bad. I felt like she went through a lot. Did she make a lot of mistakes? Absolutely. And I feel like, things can be forgiven. However, she is just stuck on this man, and this man done betrayed her, and I just feel like just choking her out and just snapping her out of it. But of course, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if it's the second book, if I should just push through it or if I should just DNF it. I normally don't like DNFing books, but I don't know. I just feel maybe a little annoyed with the FMC in the second book because she is just so indecisive. I don't know. Maybe I will push through. Maybe I'll download the audiobook and listen to it that way throughout the day. That way I'm just not reading and just going, oh, let me just, close the book. But yeah, let me know in the comments if I should just push through the second book. The second book that I read in the month of August is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. Now, this book was incredible in a way that I can't describe in words. I felt like the FMC's arc was beautifully written. It is a love letter to Dracula. She was basically pulled into this world with him, and he kept her under strict control. I felt like she is a survivor, and she survived everything that Dracula threw her way, and she didn't consent to a polyamorous relationship, but she ended up saying okay, and really it wasn't okay, and he did it anyway without her consent. And so I felt like the FMC was a trooper, a warrior, and she survived. And I definitely recommend this book if you feel like you want a female character that has endured a lot and you just want to see her win. The ending of it left me kind of, whoa, okay, but not in a bad way. It was just kind of like, okay, I mean, I guess the relationships that she did build with the other two people were kind of like, she grew close to them and she loved them and decided to have and to continue the polyamorous relationships, which it's okay. But I did find her strength going through a very vicious relationship to be inspiring. So if you're looking for something that is inspiring and very much female empowerment, that's your book. The next book we're going to talk about is The Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. Now, this book, I love the fact that it gave me autumn feel. It gave me like a fall feel because it does take place in between worlds, but it takes place in the autumn court, and there's just so much Halloween feeling, but not really Halloween feeling. It's more like the weather and the atmosphere that the author writes in. It feels kind of cozy and just, you just want a pumpkin spice latte and just, sit and read. I don't know if I connected very well with the characters. In this instance, I don't know if I would recommend this book. It's kind of like a for me, only because I am a big romance fantasy reader, and I love the development between characters. I love when there's just a timeline for romance, I guess you can say. And with this book, I just didn't feel like there was a timeline. It felt rushed. It felt very insta-love, and I wanted it to be like, oh man, this is why they love each other. And instead I got, well, I love you. I love you too. And then that was it. And I'm like, but how do you guys know you love each other if you barely talked? And then when you did talk, it was just kind of like not much for words, I guess you can say. So I kind of recommend this book. However, I do feel that the FMC was very much 10 toes down on not turning into a fae. In this world, there are faes and humans are basically crafters. And the fae seeked the humans for craft because if they crafted anything, I mean, it can be from cooking, painting, doing anything, they can perish and die, which is crazy. I love the FMC's bravery and her sticking to her guns and saying she does not want to be fae. She did not want her talent of painting and capturing the essence of people in paintings to perish. She didn't want to give that up. She's like, you know, this is part of who I am and I will change for no one, not even a man. It inspired me to say, you know what, just be yourself. Don't let anybody change who you are. And I loved it. However, there's that little romance gap, I guess you can say, that I just didn't connect with. I wish there was more of the development between the FMC and the MC, and I didn't get that with this book, unfortunately. However, if you are into a fall book and, you know, just kind of a nice storyline and want to see a female character win, that will be for you. That can be a book that you can pick up. Next one on the list is Crescent and the Crown by Millie Moss. I actually enjoyed this book. I loved the romance. I loved the small little laughs here and there with certain characters. I love the fact that Ivy, the FMC of this book, was super witty. She was super, I'm gonna survive and I've survived a lot and this won't break me type of character. It is very slow burn, and once you get to where the characters kind of get together and they're like, you know, the spice, it is such a good slow burn. I enjoyed it and I loved it, and I actually got a chance to sit down with Millie Moss and discuss the book and what her plans are for the second book. There are a lot of unanswered things in the first book, however she plans to explain them in the second book, and I can't wait for her to release it. I will link down below the interview with Millie Moss. She is a wonderful person, a wonderful author, and I hope you guys check out her book on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. I do recommend this book. It is very light. It is a short read actually, and it's only 233 pages. I recommend reading this book for sure. The next one on the lineup is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. Now, this book was incredible. I honestly felt there was just so much going on. I felt that this book captured the essence of leaving a mark on this world, which I thought was phenomenal. I find that the FMC in this book was super smart in leaving her marks, even though she was cursed. And of course, she was cursed by none other than someone that she made a pact with and a deal with. I think it was the devil, honestly, because she did a prayer at night and her neighbor told her before, whatever you do, don't pray at night because you don't know who's gonna answer. And well, she was desperate and she prayed to the wrong god, and she got herself into a big whoopsie because she's now invincible. Well, not really invincible, but she's now in a place where people forget her. And let's say she's having a conversation with you and you close the door and you say goodbye and you open the door again, you won't remember her. And that is a very difficult thing to go through, especially in a world where you have to pay bills, you need shelter, you need a job, and no one will hire you because no one will remember you. It sucked for her. But she found little ways to leave marks in the world that people can remember her. And the story takes such turns and twists. However, I did feel that the story did drag on a bit. I felt that there was a lot of repetitiveness, especially with certain words, or just, I don't know, I just felt like a repetition and I needed to get to the plot. I wanted to get to the plot ASAP. Maybe it's just me, or maybe I'm just the person that just wants the plot. I don't know. Maybe there is something wrong with me. Maybe not. But I just felt that I needed to get to the plot quicker than it did. I do recommend this book. It's just keep in mind that it does drag on a bit and it does become repetitive because she's meeting these men and these stories and they're the same thing over and over again. And I understand that there is importance into her meetings with people and how they can come up again in her story. However, you know, it becomes repetitive. But other than that, I recommend this book. Just keep in mind it's gonna be a little draggy. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. Now, this book had me questioning my morality as a whole and as a compass. I felt that I was rooting for a murderer, a colluder, and just overall a morally gray character. And normally I like morally gray characters, but this character was just like morally gray. I felt that this book had an interesting aspect of enemies to lovers trope. I felt that maybe the king that she was trying to pursue could have been a little bit harsher, like, you know, kind of exuded that presence of I'm the king and I'm the king of shadows and I'm that dude. But I just got softness from him, especially behind closed doors with her. I don't know. I felt that maybe he could have been a little bit more, you know, but that's just my preference. And the sole purpose of the FMC going to meet this king was to basically kill him and take the throne for herself. And she found out that, well, she liked the guy. And she eventually learned to love the guy. And the more they spent time together, the more she was like, man, I really want to kill him because I want to be queen, but I got feelings. I found this book to be enjoyable. I recommend it. However, do keep in mind that there was certain holes that I was just like, For example, like she murdered someone and then once the king found out and I thought the plot was going to plot, it was just kind of like, okay, well, you murdered someone. Ha ha ha, ki. Moving on. There was just no repercussions. This guy's dad is just left there to basically deal with it because he was seeking justice for his son and he didn't get the justice. Everybody just kind of put it under the rug and said, well, we're just gonna keep going with our lives. Like, there was just no punishment. And I thought that was just, you know, a good opportunity for the author to maybe have a plot where something happens and something goes on, but it was just brushed aside. But other than that, I do recommend this book. It is a good read. I enjoyed it. I delved in it. Loved it. And the last book in my August reads is Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. Now, this book had me turning pages at 3 a.m. I was literally like sleep deprived at this point because I have a son and he's my 7 o'clock alarm. So I was tired most mornings that I read this book, but it was worth it. I promise it's worth it. It has so many twists, so many turns. I was just trying to figure out, you know, who murdered this missing woman and how the connection between the missing woman that initially goes missing connects to another 2 disappearances, which is a mother and a daughter. I was just feeling like a detective at that point with a whiteboard with post-its and trying to figure it out myself. And every time I try to figure it out myself, I was wrong. I was wrong the entire time. And this book taught me that you should trust nobody. Not a neighbor, nobody. Not even with your kids. Don't trust anybody with your kids. Don't trust anybody with anything. And you truly don't know your neighbors. You truly don't. Like, you can say hello and hi, how are you from the outside, but we don't really know who our neighbors are behind closed doors. So this book was very interesting. I kept turning pages. I loved it. I recommend this book 110%. So that is a wrap up for my August reads. I read all of my books on Kindle. I am a Kindle reader. However, I do from time to time buy the paper copy of books. However, this is my best friend. And if you're looking for in-depth reviews of all these books that I mentioned, I will link all of them down below in the description bar. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. It will help me tremendously to keep going and to keep getting reviews out and keep content coming your way. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much and see you soon.